Hello everyone, welcome to Join Perspectives, Episode 1. We are Project WOW, which stands for We Are One, a special project under the NUS Students Community Service Club. Project WOW aims to raise awareness about the migrant worker scene in Singapore among Singaporeans both within and outside of NUS, build greater connections with migrant workers, and strive towards the goal of an inclusive society. Join Perspectives will be a series of videos where we will show stories of Singaporeans and migrant workers interacting together. As we draw out some perspectives of Singaporeans on the migrant worker scene, we hope that you will be able to draw new perspectives as you watch and be inspired to reach out to our unsung heroes. However, in our first video, we will be sharing some personal thoughts on the migrant worker scene in Singapore by people without personal experience interacting with them. Our first story is from a 54-year-old female Singaporean, and these are her views. My general impression of migrant workers is that it is not easy for them to leave their country to work in Singapore. I often wonder if they miss their families after coming here. I can imagine how tough it is, especially if they are bullied by their employers and discriminated against by some Singaporeans. Some employers exploit the migrant workers by lowering their pay, thinking that they don't know better. But I guess what keeps them moving forward and continuing their work here is to earn a salary to support their families. Although I have no experience in interacting with migrant workers and I foresee some cultural or language barriers, I believe that they can be overcome. As Singaporeans, we can also do more to integrate them into our society. For a start, we can accept and accommodate their presence in Singapore. If I have to choose one word to represent migrant workers, it will be "Gan En," which means gratitude. Their hard work and contributions are essential for all the nice tall buildings, roads, HDB flats, and the honourable garden city reputation that Singapore enjoys today. Next up, we have another perspective from a 20-year-old female who similarly has not personally engaged with migrant workers before. Here are some of her views. I believe that most migrant workers come to Singapore out of the necessity to provide for their family back home. The need to provide for their family pushes them to continue working despite facing great difficulties in Singapore. I think that their community is mostly isolated from the rest of Singapore, which results in misunderstandings and even discriminatory acts towards them by Singaporeans. Many Singaporeans seem to perceive them as uneducated and therefore working hard labour jobs here in Singapore. The recent COVID-19 situation has brought the topic of migrant workers, especially their living conditions, to the forefront. More Singaporeans are now aware of the migrant worker scene in Singapore and the issues they face. When it comes to interacting with migrant workers, I feel that a lack of common topics is one of the difficulties I would face. Though, one question I wonder about is what are their hobbies while they are in Singapore. Nevertheless, I believe that we can take small steps to help integrate them into our society, such as smiling at them when we see them around the neighborhood to brighten up their day. I chose water to represent migrant workers, as just like water, they are essential to Singapore. For instance, some contribute greatly to the growth of Singapore, while others play important domestic roles in our households. We hope that you found these perspectives of the migrant worker scene in Singapore relevant, and we thank the two volunteers for sharing. They have pointed out a few interesting points, such as the migrant workers' love for their family and the importance of migrant workers in our society. Additionally, a lack of common topics is a common concern among those who have not interacted with migrant workers before. In our following videos, we will explore stories involving personal interactions between Singaporeans and migrant workers and check out whether a lack of common topics was actually a difficulty they face. So, stay tuned to our upcoming videos, which will be featuring other stories presenting different perspectives of the migrant workers scene in Singapore. In the meantime, you can check out our following platforms for more content regarding migrant workers. And remember, don't hesitate to say hi the next time you see a migrant worker. And that's all we have for now. See you all soon!